Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you read that title right. Just the other day, Chris Chan dropped a video on his Quickville Guardian channel revealing that he's back at Branchland. Now, for anyone who's new to the Chris Chan story and doesn't understand the significance of this, he hasn't been back at the home where his mother Barbara is ever since he got put in jail over 2.5 years ago. And this would, I believe, be either the first or maybe second time he's been back here. And the only reason we even knew he was there the first time is because somebody drove by and spotted his car in the driveway and took a picture of it. I made a video on that situation too, but it got taken down because I showed Chris's license plate for like 6 minutes in the video. But I digress. The point is that he's back there now, or at least he was a few days ago. And you might be asking, well, that's not good. That is absolutely a terrible thing to hear if you know Chris's past and you know what he was in jail for. And a lot of people have voiced their concerns about this, with Chris going back to see his mom after all the stuff he did, knowing that she's like, a very decrepit old woman who can't really do much on her own, yet lives alone in that house. And we'll talk about all this further, but first I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor. I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, Cook Unity. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ever looking for something quick to eat while you're laughing at the lunacy online? Well, guess what? Cook Unity is the first chef-to-you meal delivery service, made up of over 70 chefs who believe that great food should be for everyone. Each week, award-winning chefs craft hundreds of globally inspired meals, from vegetarian to paleo and everything in between. Meals are delivered fresh, never frozen, and the menu rotates every week, so there's always something new to try. My personal favorite is the Caribbean chicken stew. I mean, just come on, look at this. This looks gourmet. Like, this looks like something you'd get at a restaurant. I'd gladly pay for this at a restaurant. But you don't need to do that because Cook Unity brings it right to your front door. It's incredibly convenient as you don't have to go through the process of making any of these meals yourself. Tonight I'm having the Mission-style chicken burrito, made by Chef Jose Garces out of Los Angeles. And look, I'll just tell you, from personal experience, these are some of the most delicious meals I've had in a long time. Cook Unity chefs offer up a wide range of meals with over 7 different dietary preference filters, including vegan, paleo, and gluten-free options. You can go to their website to see all the different kinds of meals that they offer. And right now, if you go there and use code Smokeymcc, you can get 50% off your first order. The subscription is super flexible, and you can pause, skip weeks, or cancel at any time. Go to cookunity.com/Smoky50 or click the link in the description below and use my code to get 50% off your first order of Cook Unity meals to try them out for yourself. Thank you again to the legends at Cook Unity for sponsoring this video, and with that being said, let's get on with it. So do you see this empty lot of rocks that I've just been showing on screen for the past minute or so? Well, that's actually the driveway of Chris Chan's childhood home, Old Branchland. And he's back there for one reason, ladies and gentlemen, and apparently, if you're to listen to Chris, one reason only. And that is to make sure that he can collect enough rocks so that he can then sell them on Etsy. Now, I don't know if this means that Chris just got way too lazy with the Sonichu medallion making and something just snapped in his head and he realized, you know what, I could probably just sell people bags of rocks and they'd buy it. And you know what, they probably will. As much as I think that this is like asinine and Chris just selling rocks from his driveway shouldn't be a valid way that he can make easy income, it will be. You bet your ass it will be. We're not dealing with 2009 Chris Chan anymore. This is 2024 Chris who has a team of wranglers behind him that are helping him monetize anything he can, and he's not doing a bad job at it. We've seen these live streams where Chris is just sitting there raking in donations who are just calling him out. But funnily enough, Chris stopped doing those live streams. It got too much for him. He couldn't sit there and handle the constant berating that the people donating to him were throwing at him. And honestly, I'm surprised that he made it longer than he did. He did these streams for a cool 4 to 5 months. And honestly, I thought he would have stopped after the second or third one. But again, it's just more proof that this stuff is weighing on him. Back to the monetization, though. Look at the Etsy store. He's selling things hand over fist. As soon as he puts up some medallion coins or some Sonichu stuff, people do really go and buy it. And this is something Chris really hasn't seen in the past, and that's a steady flow of income. But also, ladies and gentlemen, you can't forget the type of person that Chris Chan is. He's very, very lazy. And after a while, well, it starts to feel like a job to him. And when something starts to feel like a job, he's not going to want to do it. Because that's the one thing that's remained a constant with Chris. He's never going to want to work an actual job. And I think all the sitting around and having to make arts and crafts, well, it started to weigh on him, and even though it's something he thoroughly enjoys, when it starts to feel like a job, Chris is hightailing it out of there. And where did he hightail it to? Well, right back to Branchland. Now, I don't think he's here for good. Let me just say that. I don't think Chris has just brought all of his bags back and plans to live here for like the long haul, but the fact that he's just back here in general is obviously something that's going to make a lot of people feel really weirded out by the entire situation. But with all that said, let's watch the video from the jump, and I want to point out a few things that I notice as we go along.
Hey everybody, Christine Chandler here, and today I'm going to be collecting a bunch of the stones from the old driveway here at the old temple for resurfacing for the Etsy store. But anyway, you're going to see my process a little bit one way or another, so enjoy the view.
Something that I noticed right off the jump with that clip was that you could hear the dogs barking in the background, like going crazy. And if you've ever watched like a more recent Chris Chan video, like think back like maybe 4 or 5 years, well then you know that his dogs howl and bark all day long. Like you cannot stop them. I've seen numerous videos where people can't even get a word out because the dogs are just barking and going crazy in the house. And so when I hear these dogs barking like crazy in the background of this video, that just makes me realize that Barb is probably still home here, because wherever she would go, the dogs would probably have to go with her or would have to be sent somewhere else. They wouldn't just leave the dogs at the house with nobody there, not even Barb to feed them. So to me, this just proves Barb is in fact back at the house. And again, that'll probably get a lot of people who have like really bad suspicions about this situation for their like alert to be up now, but I don't know. This could possibly just be Chris going to get some rocks. You know, he's not the most considerate person. We've seen how he's acted before around his parents, the Christmas gifts he gets them and all that. Like he's not the most caring individual. I can easily see Chris going here, not even going inside to say hi to Barb, just getting the rocks and going on his way. Like nothing is stopping him, because what is most important is getting these up on Etsy so that prospective buyers can then buy these ever so illustrious rocks. But honestly, that's probably just wishful thinking. The thing is that anytime Chris goes anywhere near his old childhood home, anywhere near where his mother is, people are always going to be very worried about what the outcome will be. Now, obviously, you can't just point the finger anytime he goes anywhere in the vicinity and say, oh, he's going back to Boink Barb again. But at the same time, we heard like so much out of Chris's own mouth about the things that he did to her, and throughout his time in jail, we read the letters where he made it clear that, you know, it was just soul bonding, it wasn't anything serious, and we all knew that he was never going to take it serious because Chris is incapable of doing that. He was always going to see himself being in the right in this situation, and once he got out of jail, obviously the worries have to spring up again because, you know, he's just legally allowed to waltz back in there. But I won't make any accusations because we honestly don't know what Chris is doing there right now. Hell, he could have already left, but honestly, it is a pretty scary thought to think that he just could be hiding out there for a few days doing God knows whatever to Barbara. Again, these are all just assumptions, but knowing what he did last time and knowing how he doesn't really think it's a bad thing, it's something to think about. But again, Chris really wants you just to focus on the rocks, because these rocks are, they're his meal ticket to a better life, ladies and gentlemen. He got the bucket full, and now he's praying over them. That's what makes him special, you know? Just because they're from his driveway, you know, that supposedly makes him special enough, at least so I thought. But Chris is actually going to bless over them too. It's not even worth me talking over. Let's just hear Chris's own blessing over the majestic Branchland rocks.
And so it is, like the salt of the earth, the rocks and stones and gravel from this place that is holy and sacred, because I am holy and sacred. I bless all these stones personally with my energy and my flow. and it all be known that it is all divinely good. And regardless of what setbacks y'all may have online response, some of you, very few of you, I know more of you have blessings that have been enriched within you from the stones that you have said previously, of which I have personally blessed as well, just by having my energy blessed and around them, personally.
Sacrilegious Chris Chan is one of the most fascinating Chris Chans we've ever seen. I mean, he's always been really bad. He's never been like all there with religion. I don't think he's ever really understood it. But now that he thinks like he's the head of one of them, I mean, him calling his driveway holy grounds. Because he is holy, you know? And if you didn't get it, all those rings on his hand clearly say it. Chris was just winded while saying this, because getting those rocks really was hard work. Now, he brought that little, like, shovel and pail. I don't get why he just didn't bring, like, a fucking snow shovel. Just dump them rocks into a wheelbarrow and load them shits up into the back of your, like, van. If you really wanted to make a haul, Chris, that's what you do. You're thinking small time here. Like, Chris is thinking about how he's going to get his next thing of Crayola Model Magic, or how he's going to get his next thing of groceries at Walmart. He should be thinking about how he's going to get a new, like, a yacht or some shit, because you get enough of those rocks together, the people are going to pay up. Wow, just as I'm sitting here saying that, that's kind of a scary thought. A rich Chris Chan? Like, what would he do with all that money? I feel like there's a lot of easy answers, right? Like, he'd probably donate a lot of it to his favorite pony artists' Patreons. When you first heard me donate, your eyes probably rolled. You were like, what? But then when I said pony artists, you probably were like, oh, yeah, you're probably right on that. He would. Maybe he just straight up buy Branchland back and boot Barb out of there. I don't know, but I tell you one thing, he's trying to live like that right now, because this man never wants to work again. Like, why would you go get a job when you can sit here and give blessings to a bucket of gravel? I mean, this is what Chris wants to do with his time. Why? Because it doesn't, like, exert too much energy, and it's not something that he really has to work hard to do. Now, I bet you that this alone, this proved to him that even this is too much of hard work, because him, like, breathing heavy like that after just getting what looks to be, like, only a quarter of this bucket filled with rocks. It's not even like this is a very big bucket to begin with. He's not gonna like doing this either. So it seems like this is just going to be a constant cycle of Chris trying to find ways to make money without doing the actual thing that could make him a good bit of money, you know, like finishing the Smokeymcc comics. And you know what? I shouldn't be saying this right now, because on the off chance that Chris sees this video, I'm probably giving him a big idea to make money here. People probably would buy the Smokeymcc comics. Like, if he just actually sat there for maybe like a week or like 2 weeks and really put all he had into one of those comics, and then got like a printer, printed out a bunch of different copies. Look, I don't know how this works. I'm not a comic book writer, but even like the very little effort Chris goes into making his would probably be enough to net him a massive profit. And I'm talking about this today with all this monetization and profit talk, because that's what this is. Chris going back home to pick up rocks is a business venture to him. Like, this is like Chris putting on a suit and walking up to Wall Street, but instead he's putting on all his friggin' accessories to where he jingles like Santa Claus, and he's walking back to the home where he diddled his mom to collect rocks to sell to a bunch of poor saps online. Business 101, ladies and gentlemen. But who am I to say that? Maybe Chris is out there already living luxurious, not having to come back to the internet for nothing. Well, I say that despite the rock video, because before this, he hasn't said a word online for like a month. Chris has been completely off the grid. He hasn't live streamed since last month. He hasn't posted on Twitter barely at all, other than this one tweet I'm about to show you right here, where it's clear that he's just mad about somebody like leaking a text message or something. But of course, in classic Chris Chan fashion, he has to compare it to something he knows, because he doesn't know really how to articulate it in a way to show anger. He's more of like articulating it in a way to show it as a scenario in a TV show. You know, he's always done this with stuff like Family Guy and Simpsons over the years, but today, Seinfeld gets the spotlight, because Chris posted, "I am reminded of when Susan started out on her quote-unquote comedy gigs on Seinfeld, and she just relayed everything that Jerry had said to her on the voicemail as part of her gig. That was very wrong, because these things like voicemails and emails about something personal between the two individuals are not meant to be shared publicly, especially in mockery or jest. The one who does this does the worst damage to themselves. Like, he always does this. Like, it always has to be like compared to a TV show or a movie or something Chris likes. But I mean, this is just he's so upset about what happened here. But guess what? We don't know what happened here. At least I don't, because I have not seen any leaked text message or anything like that. It's probably some pony shit Chris is dealing with 9 times out of 10. If Chris has some like beef in some type of community and he's upset about something, it's like 1 out of 10 times in modern day Chris stuff, it's a troll. 9 out of 10 times, it's usually him just being mad about people either blocking him or laughing at him in the pony community. He takes that really serious. If you do go down Chris's whole like Twitter, it's all pony, 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 pony. Like these people are his lifeblood. They're who he wants to be around constantly, and it's anyone who backstabs him like this is just doing the worst type of damage to themselves. Now, I guess he just came up with this type of analogy because he was watching this particular episode of Seinfeld at the time. I mean, he even went on here to show these screenshots of the show while this particular woman was doing this on the show, and it's how he comes up with all of his great ideas, ladies and gentlemen. He sees it on TV and then he copies it. Sonichu, anybody? But again, after that was about it for Chris Online. He has been completely off the grid, and other than this rock collecting video, he hasn't been doing anything. So it's interesting to see that maybe Chris needed a vacation after his like 6 or 7 months of working maybe once or twice a week. You know, it was a really, really tough time for Chris. So maybe now he's kicking back, catching up on all the pony episodes he met. What am I saying? What am I saying? He's absolutely not doing that. He's not watching any types of pony shows because they're not like doing what he says. But maybe he's catching up on some Sonic video games or something, or the Pokemon games he missed. It's got to be a pretty relaxing time right now for Chris, considering he's just not doing anything. And I don't think he's with Flutter, because where was Flutter during this whole situation? That's something I could have brought up, that the girl we call Egg or Flutter or whatever you want to call her, Cabbage Patch, that's always a good one, she's nowhere to be seen again. And that's because a lot of people have theorized that she lives like a few states away and only flies in every now and again to hang out with Chris. And then we heard from Chris's own mouth on a few live streams like maybe a month ago that the friend zone is not a good place to be. So I don't think their relationship is as fruitful of one as people imagined it to be. But it's just gotta be an odd time to be Chris Chan right now. He's back at Branchland. I bet you this is gonna get people's eyes more on him than ever, and maybe not more than ever, but at least more than it has been in the past few years. And I think with all that being said, there's really not much more to say about current Chris. But there is one thing I wanted to say, and I saved this to the end just to say thank you guys. We hit 100,000 subscribers recently, and we started by doing these Chris Chan videos. This is probably my like over 100th video on Chris, and we followed his story ever since he got put in jail for doing what he did to his mom. And it's been a wild ride, and I wouldn't have done this any other way without all of you guys in the comments. You guys have been hilarious. And it's just really been an awesome ride, and I can't thank you guys for being along with this one with me. I mean, really all we've been doing is laughing at Chris Chan's antics, and, well, laughing sometimes, and other times just being horrified with the results. But nonetheless, it's been a ride. It's been a ride no matter what. And I thank you guys for everything and all the support you've ever given me. And yeah, just much love to you. You guys are the friggin' best. With all that being said, I'm going to get out of here, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Got a lot more videos coming out soon, and I hope you guys stick around to watch them. And until then, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.